didn't say that. And also, I think we all learn so much every time you do it. Evidently, God Scalpel and Jeremy are here to see you win again, and hopefully, I'll get to see you win after this. So, I congratulate you on the win. I do. I'm not salty about it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic that you won again.
I mean, I don't see them as victories, but if you want to see them as a victory, right? So let's take another victory. Can you demonstrate right now?
You should make a victory. You should go make a victory video.
We're going to do it right now.
You should say 100 versus 1.
This will be it. This will be it right now.
Mr. Scott loses according to Jeremy and God Scalpel yet again.
Oh, let's start with number 1. Let's get proof of a glow. Let's see something orbit. Let's see something orbit the globe, Mr. Scott. Can you demonstrate that right now?
Show us a demonstration of it. Can you demonstrate it?
Yeah, can you do that?
Can you please demonstrate that, please?
Is that possible? Can you show that the Earth is a globe and something has orbited all the way around it?
Can you demonstrate it so that it were possible to orbit something? I want to see a demonstration showing that it does not happen.
I can't show that. Can you?
So you lost again?
I can't show that either.
That's a fallacy, to be fair, Veach. He's saying it doesn't exist.
Oh,
You're claiming
Jesus Christ, guys. Jesus Christ, guys. Are you serious?
Come on, Mr. Scott. What can you provide?
I didn't make these claims, Kimo. What do you want to see? You don't ask me for demonstrations. I didn't make claims, though.
Well, you claim that you're the son of an astronaut, right?
Yes.
That is a huge claim that someone is an actual real astronaut, right?
Okay, so it's a huge claim.
Right, so can you demonstrate space? Can you demonstrate the globe? No?
I can't demonstrate any of these things for you.
Right, so how do you demonstrate?
Long ago,
okay, fine. Okay, that's one step.
Years ago, came out. You got to stop over time. If you want to get serious, we can get serious. I thought we were playing, but you want to be serious. Years ago, I stopped demonstrating things for you when you proved yourself to be dishonest. Okay. I don't demonstrate things for you. Are you kidding me? You ask for them, but just because you ask for them doesn't mean I'm going to go get them for you. Okay. You've never demonstrated a thing in your life.
Okay.
So why are you acting like you're going to get something now?
Because you've never demonstrated anything, Mr. Scott. If
you've never demonstrated anything.
If you'd have demonstrated what you showed the first place.
And moreover, you've been dishonest so many times that no one takes you. Well, I'm not shouldn't say no one. Most people don't take you seriously in this room. You are a sideshow in this room. So when you start saying this stuff, I don't take it seriously. You know why? Because whenever we did take it seriously, you proved yourself to be dishonest. And after you did that enough times, you lost credibility, and now you're just noise.
Okay.
So that's what goes on, and that's why when you say things like, "Well, can you demonstrate this?" I mean, no one really bothers to even respond. You just sort of say, "Okay, whatever."
Sure.
That's because when we did demonstrate. You would see it. You see the demonstration. Then the next day, you'd forgotten all about it, and you start from scratch. It'd be this resetting thing you do, where you forget everything you agreed to the day before and try again. And after you did that enough times, people stopped thinking it was fun.
Okay.
Hold on, Kimo. Perfect way to just destroy Scott right now is do demonstration.
I haven't made any claims though. That's what I was just about to reply to Mr. Scott. I don't make outrageous.
You said the Earth is flat.
I don't make outrageous.
Ice wall.
I don't make outrageous, outlandish claims that I can't back up.
No, you made a lot. You said there's no such thing. You said all kinds of things. Just any demonstration, really. Show us the Earth is flat.
Just demonstrate and crush Scott right now.
Yeah.
What's the claim? What's the claim?
Anything you like. The Earth is flat.
That's the point. I'm not so stupid, Mr. Scott, to make a wild claim that I can't back up. That's how I don't get caught out in any lies, Mr. Scott. Like saying that my father was an astronaut, flew around the Earth. You see, because when people ask me to demonstrate that my father was an astronaut and he flew around the ball, well, if that were true, I would be able to demonstrate that, Mr. Scott.
He said,
how would you do it?
He said demonstrated that dome.
Well, what I would do, I would get the personal footage that your father has of him leaving the house, going to the rocket, going into space, flying around the ball, bringing it home, saying, "Hey, son, check this out. Look what I've done. Look at the ball. Look at the Earth."
I'll tell you what Kimo said.
Where is it? Where's the home footage, Mr. Scott? On YouTube. Where's your YouTube channel full of
I showed it to you years ago, and you forget about it the next day. You've seen it before, though.
Right, if you just showed it, we would have saved it, stored it, and we would have produced it.
Demonstrate. I want to see right now.
Demonstrate what? What would you like a demonstration of?
You said to Scott earlier.
Yeah.
You said, you have demonstrated flat and dome. an ice wall.
Oh, no,
So
no. I
them
said
on-
to him I could. Oh, sorry, yeah, because you probably don't get the conditional side of could. So it's just, I could say these things. I could turn around and say to Mr. Scott, I've seen the wall, we've demonstrated the dome, and he could say, well, we've demonstrated the globe, we have shown you, and at that point, it's a case of who will last longer in saying this. And I don't think Mr. Scott will last very long in saying, well, I've done it, versus me saying I've done it.
So you guys
I've done
were
what?
just trolling each other and having us watch.
What do you think?
Yeah, it looks that way.
Do you think it's improved or something? Because
Sounds like someone needs an English class in here.
Yeah.
I think so,
It's
Mr.
basically
Scott.
it was basically who could say wabbit season or duck season longer.
Well, I could have told you right away that there's no way I was going to keep saying duck season long.
Right, so that's the point. So instead of saying all those things, why don't you've got a lot of people listening. You've got other flat earthers in here.
Kimo, you know you've been talking nonstop. I've literally been just sitting here listening to you monologue. So if you have something to say, you should get to it.
Hold on, let me interject. He was inferring that he was the bunny in that scenario. I don't like that, Veach.
Hey, who cares what you like, Jeremy?
Because I don't know. I don't like that. The Bugs was the smartest one, and he was the coolest one. And
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
He's talking about.
I don't watch cartoons, dude.
You know.
You're just right, though, Mr. Scott. Right?
Okay, fine. We're talking about what are we talking about?
Demonstrations, proof. You proving your wild claim.
What wild claims?
That your father flew around the ball.
I've seen it.
The heliocentric model is your claim. No,
the claim was my dad was an astronaut. Was what he was talking about.
Yeah, astronauts fly in space. How can you have gas pressure next to a vacuum? How can anyone go into space? How do you have a space?
You've already heard all the answers to these, Kimo. You've heard answers to all this stuff.
Where can we see that your father tested his spacesuit in the vacuum of space, in a vacuum chamber? How can we see this test?
I don't know. Why do you think you should be able to see that?
Yeah, where are they?
Why do you think you should be able to see that?
Why is it hidden? What's the secrecy?
I'm asking you why you think you should be able to see it.
What, do you think the Russians will take your technology?
How is this a hard question to answer?
Because I'm saying, why aren't you showing the?
Well, where do you think it'll be to show? Like, how do you think you would show that? What is it you're imagining that should be available for you to see that would show?
Well, they would record what they're doing, right? Like we saw that.
Do you think they recorded everything they ever did and have it all accessible somewhere?
Yeah, I think they've recorded everything they ever did. Yeah.
No, they didn't. They didn't record everything they ever did. That was if you thought that, no wonder you're so confused.
Yeah, that's what they did.
They didn't record most of what they did. Very tiny fraction of what they did got recorded.
Yeah, in the 60s, video cameras were relatively new. Homemade cameras as well.
My dad became an astronaut. My dad became an astronaut in 1986. 86.
Yeah, and I'm saying from the 60s, the cameras were a thing, so everything was being documented and recorded. So by the time your father would have got there...
I'll say it one more time. Last time. So as a point of fact, they did not record everything they did. In fact, they only recorded a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of the things they did.
Yeah, why would they do that?
Because a lot of that footage would be boring, hard to archive, hard to find again,
boring
completely
to who,
irrelevant, a waste of time, a waste of money. Who? Boring to you, boring to me, boring to everyone.
Why are you deciding what's boring for other people?
I'm just guessing. You asked me why they didn't do it, but
so
as a point of fact, they did not.
It's a bad guess. It's not a good guess.
If you say, I think it's a great guess. But as a point of fact, they didn't do it. So whatever the reason is, it's absurd for you to think that it's going to be available. It's just not.
Of course it should be. That should be the normal case in action. Whenever an event is happening.
I'm not sure I agree.
Every event, whether it be a festival, whether it be a sports event, whether it be a space exploration, all of it, every detail is recorded.
No, you should bring it up.
But this one space thing is not recorded. What does that tell you, Mr. Scott?
Lots of things are not recorded, though, Kimo.
Every major event has been recorded.
No, not every major event.
Like what? Like what? Name one major event that's not been recorded.
Name one. Okay, my birthday last year
wasn't recorded. Nobody took any pictures last year.
No.
Come on, Scott. That
Mr.
was
Scott,
why
would you lie like this? You're
it's not a major event. Well, then the eruption.
Even down to a birthday like your event there, I know for a fact it was documented. Photographs.
No, it wasn't.
Video was taken.
No,
You've
got a
he
phone.
was there creeping on you, Scott. He was recording.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Unless you secretly recorded it, that would be something.
Someone's
That's what I'm
Canadian.
So, Mr. Scott, give me a major event that hasn't been recorded.
The
fire.
or the assassination of Franz Ferdinand.
When did that happen?
1919. After the invention of movie cameras, we had recording.
Isn't he a cartoon character?
He was no, he wasn't. Read a book, dude. Come on.
So it was documented in the book, Mr. Scott.
What was documented in the book?
The person you just described, was that event, was that in a book?
You don't know what wait, hold on. You don't know what assassination of Franz Ferdinand did or was, or that means nothing to you?
Wasn't he a bull?
Right, so that was documented, right? That was recorded in one way or another, Mr. Scott, right?
It wasn't recorded.
Was it documented? Do we know what happened?
Yeah, well, we have eyewitnesses and people pieced it together, so we've written down the books. Yes, we have recorded
So
that.
somebody recorded it with their memory, Mr. Scott.
Yeah, but you know what we don't have?
Yeah.
We don't have somebody recording what did he test or
so
what we don't
event.
what we don't have is something saying what he wore that day or what he tried on before he picked what he wore, which is equivalent to what you're asking for when you say, well, let's get footage of your dad trying on a spacesuit.
Did you ask?
He was assassinated in 19.
Did you ask what they were wearing, Mr. Scott?
Yes, I asked what they were wearing.
Who did you ask, Mr. Scott?
Father, man.
I asked the person that was telling me about Franz Ferdinand. Who else? And I also checked in the books.
You asked the book what clothes they were wearing, Mr. Scott.
I looked for it. Yeah, of course.
So you asked the book said no. We're not going to tell you what clothes. Well,
I
didn't
wearing. Talk to the book. I looked it up. So what is the point, though?
Because we're talking about the witnesses. Did you speak to the witnesses? Did you ask the witnesses?
What witnesses? I couldn't find any. I looked for them, but I couldn't find any.
How do we know about the murder then?
Why are you?
Well, the murder we have witnesses. Man. Murder we have witnesses.
Mm-hmm. So we know what he was wearing then.
Well, we know what he was wearing in the murder probably, but no one reported it as far as I know. I'm saying, what did he wear the day before? What did he wear before he put that on?
What, didn't he see anyone the day before?
He's the Archduke. You know who he is, right?
Was the day before? Was the day before a major event?
His murder is what his murder is what caused World War What?
So, the day before was a major event. What was major about the day before?
Well, what's major about trying on a spacesuit?
No, I'm asking what was major about the day before.
What I'm asking is what's major about trying on a spacesuit.
Well, this is groundbreaking. A spacesuit that can stop you from dying in the vastness of space is a big thing, Mr. Scott.
Yeah, but it's not really a big event, though.
That's a huge event.
I mean, like an airbag in your car can stop you from dying in a car wreck, but it's not a big event, the fact that you got airbags installed in your car. You don't have footage of them doing that.
Okay, but we've got footage of people with airbags, Mr. Scott. It's been documented.
Yeah, but we don't have footage of them putting an airbag in your car, even though it's going to save your life, maybe.
So no one recorded the fitting of an airbag, you're saying?
I'm saying no one recorded the fitting of the airbag for your car.
No one recorded the fitting of the airbag.
Because if you want to see anybody try on a spacesuit, we can find you that stuff. If
I
you want to find everyone or any particular
person,
see, that's where it gets goofy.
No, I want to see your father in a spacesuit in a vacuum chamber demonstrating.
I understand what you want. Yeah, I understand. You want to see this footage that you imagine exists that doesn't exist. And I'm not sure what to tell you except for the fact that it's point of fact it doesn't exist. You think it should. I think that's absurd. What else is there to say about it?
So there is no footage of him testing the spacesuit, no?
As far as I know, no. I've only seen the footage that's on YouTube about him.
Yeah, so there's no footage of him testing the spacesuit. Is there any footage of him going around the board?
Yeah, there's footage of him in his mission. So footage
of him inside the shuttle. Does he have any footage of him going around the board?
Like I just said, there's footage of him on his mission in the shuttle as it orbits.
Yeah, in the shuttle, but we don't see the Earth, right? In its entirety, no?
Well, you see the Earth you can see the Earth sometimes in the shot.
Yeah, you see it.
Some still footage.
You see it a couple of times, but we don't see a full orbit, do we?
Yeah. I'm not sure what you mean by that exactly. You see him in the shuttle.
So what I mean is
for
you start
full
from
orbit,
one point, you go around the ball, and you end up at the same place. You don't see that, do we?
Yeah, you do. You just don't. You do. Because look, it takes 90 minutes to do the orbit, right? So we're in the shuttle. There's footage of the flight. I don't know, maybe 7 hours of footage. So clearly they've orbited I don't know how many times, 8, 9 times.
9 times. Did he get one?
Now,
did he record 1 time?
Yeah, that all 9 times are being recorded because there's like 7 hours of footage of it.
Okay, let's have a look now.
No, it's on YouTube. You can find it if you want. Look up LazyVeach STS, and it's them doing their activities. So it's them working at consoles.
How long is the video on for?
It depends on which one you find, but they'll find it from anywhere from 20-minute cuts to 4 hours of just raw footage. So there's 7 hours total if you keep searching for everything.
There's 4-hour video of going around the Earth.
When I say there's 7 hours total, I should say I've seen about 7 hours total. I haven't really looked that hard, to be honest with you.
How can we know you're telling the truth?
It's pretty boring. Well, I guess you can't know. You have to trust me or not. But if you don't trust me, that's okay with me. I don't trust you.
Know
so
we don't trust the idea of space existed. So how can you verify what you're saying?
Okay.
You've just wasted 10, 20 minutes.
I don't think. Look, you're the one asking questions, Kibo. You're the one driving this conversation. If you want to stop talking and I'll stop asking questions, then don't accuse me of wasting time.
No, I just want to know if
you need to stop asking the question, how have you verified? Because it's at its heart a dishonest question. You're not asking
not
him to
verifying it. I was saying what needs
Hey! Do not interrupt. As I was saying, you're not asking him to verify it. You're asking him to prove something to you.
No, I just want to see what he saw.
Yes. That's
no. Let's see what he saw about the ball, the rocket, his father going around the ball, and we'll be satisfied. So we haven't got that, Mr. Scott, have we? We haven't got your father in an astronaut suit, testing it. We haven't got him training.
Well, no, you haven't.
Okay. Now you're making it. Now you're making it trying
it on.
Now you're making
what
a claim.
What do you have your father doing, training-wise, preparing-wise, getting ready-wise?
Well, there's a lot of footage. I told you, go to YouTube and look it up, and you can see it all for yourself.
It's not there, Mr. Scott. It's not there.
Yes, it is. So look at.
Prove that it's there, Mr. Scott. Give us a look.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Because it's not there. Why are you making these things up, Mr. Scott?
Let me tell you something, Kimo. If you're not willing to type in one search to see if it's there or not, I can't help you, buddy.
You're willing to make.
You got to learn to look for these things on your own. You want everybody to bring you this stuff. You got to learn how to look for things.
You're the one making the world claim.
At the end of the day,
just like you asked me for the dome, just like you asked me for the wall.
I'm not always going
I said I could say that. You said prove it, demonstrate it right now.
Here's how you learn to fish. Here's how you learn to fish. You go and you type in a search term into YouTube or Google, something like training footage, LazyVeach, STS 39, and see what you get. Now, if you do this for a little bit and you come up with nothing,
there,
come
Mr.
back,
Scott.
we'll take pity on you and we'll show you how to do it.
It's not
but at
there.
least give it a try.
It's not there.
Prove
that it's there. Show the link that you're on about. 4 hours.
Give it a good
4 hours you said of going around the board.
And then if you fail, we'll show you how.
It's not there, Mr. Scott. We've searched everywhere. We cannot
You don't
find.
know. You haven't even tried. Let's not go in circles, Kimo. You haven't tried, so you don't know if it's there or not. If you try and you fail, I'll show you how to.
How do you know I haven't tried, Mr. Scott?
Because you said you haven't tried. You said it a minute ago.
I just told you I've tried. It's not there.
No, you just a minute before that you said, I'm not gonna lie, you haven't tried looking for it because I don't believe it's there.
I just said it's not there. I've looked. Try to listen, Mr. Scott. I've looked. It's not there. I said prove that it's there.
You didn't search. You already said you have not done this. You already said you have not done this.
Say it one more time, Mr. Scott. Say it again.
You have not. You said you hadn't done this. You said you hadn't done this.
Now, does it make it true? No, because I said, Mr. Scott, I've looked and it's not there.
No, you didn't look. You lied. You saying.
And I said prove it, Mr. Scott.
2 minutes ago,
prove that it is there.
You said I haven't looked because I know it's not there. You said
I said I've looked. It's there.
I know it's not there. No. Oh, it is there?
It's
now
where?
It's there?
It's where?
You just said now you looked and it's there.
It's with you.
How many different versions of the story are you going to push, Kimo?
I've looked and it's there with you, Mr. Scott. I can't find it.
Yeah, I don't think you've looked. You said you hadn't looked. I believed you the first time. I think you're changing your story now. This is the kind of dishonesty that gets you lack of credibility.
You can't demonstrate that, Mr. Scott. Again.
You're right.
Exactly.
I can't demonstrate anything to you.
Your father can't demonstrate things, and now Mr. Scott, the son, can't demonstrate things.
To be fair, my father's dead, so I don't really know how he's supposed to demonstrate things.
Yeah.
So, are you saying that when you have your children, Mr. Scott, your son will also not be able to demonstrate things when asked?
Since you're talking,
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Well, what I'm talking about is that your father isn't able to demonstrate that space is a real thing. I'm asking the son of an astronaut to demonstrate something, and he also has not demonstrated something.
Here's the situation. You want a dead man to demonstrate things. You're mad that dead man won't demonstrate it. You've asked me for footage of him trying on an outfit, and when I tell you the footage doesn't exist, you're mad about that. When I tell you that if you want to see the training footage, all you have to do is type his name into YouTube, and it's there.
No, that's not true, Mr.
You
Scott.
say you won't do that. You say you won't do that, and then later you try to switch to I tried and it wasn't there. In what sense am I supposed to be taking any of this seriously?
Yeah, you're gonna have to demonstrate, Mr. Scott, that what you're saying is true. You cannot demonstrate anything. What we're noticing here.
I will bet you $100 that I do not have to demonstrate that.
Demonstrate what? Your claim. You can just make wild claims. Is that the idea?
Yes, what you just said. You have to demonstrate. I don't have to demonstrate things. Right?
Yeah, that's the order. That's part of the order. If you make a wild claim,
you're acting like an idiot.
Yeah.
You're asking for absurd things.
Well, let me educate you then on how the order is in the world.
You're demanding demonstrations of
when
things that are impossible to demonstrate.
Makes a wild, outrageous claim, Mr. Scott.
Like you're just
the
trying
thing
to
they have
fights.
to do,
it's
they must do, is demonstrate.
You must have something better to do.
Otherwise, they'll just be asked again. Demonstrate it, and then you'll get more frustrated, more stressed.
You have something better to do than to try to pick
and then
fights
say, "Oh,
over
this is boring. We need something more exciting in the world." When you are the only thing that is exciting for us right now, the son of an astronaut whose father flew around the ball.
I don't think you're excited by that, Kimo.
That is very exciting.
You know me for now. You know me now for
man.
Yeah, you know me now for 3 years. You know me now for 3 years.
Right.
You know my dad was an astronaut for 3 years.
Right.
So what's got you so excited suddenly?
It's what space is always an exciting prospect. What are you talking about?
I don't think that's true, Kimo. I think you're just.
Well, that's because you've been around it, right? You were born into it.
No, I think you're being silly. I don't believe what you're saying. I think you're just being absurd. I think you're bored. I think you're looking for a fight. So you're saying whatever you can think of that hopefully get triggered.
It's like if you were the son of a rock star.
The more you try.
The rock star son would say, "Well, I've seen the road, the fans, no big deal. It's really boring, really."
Rock star.
But for everybody else, it's like, wow,
my
glitz
dad,
and glamour. This is really great. This is fantastic. So for me, the fact that your father flew around the globe, okay, in a place that does not exist, for me, is the most exciting thing I've ever heard, Mr. Scott.
Okay.
Can you imagine somebody going to a place that does not exist?
I want to be clear about something, Kimo.
Go ahead.
Kimo, can you just stop over talking? I want to be clear about something. It's okay with me if you don't believe it. You don't have to believe it if you don't want.
No, I believe
it's not important to me that you believe this.
If I didn't believe you, I wouldn't ask you to prove it. I believe you. I'm saying prove it.
Kimo, you're over talking like crazy. Why are you so riled up? What's got you so mad?
Not mad, Mr. Scott.
Like every time I start talking, you start, coming in with this high speed talk, going blah, 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 blah. Like just if I'm going to say something, let me say what I'm saying, and then when I'm done, you can say what you're saying.
Sure.
Is that fair?
Sounds good, yeah.
I mean, it seems like a reasonable thing to ask.
Creating content for his YouTube video.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Hoping to get some big absurd fight. So. It's not important to me that you believe me, Kimo. You've heard all this stuff before. You've seen the training footage before. All this stuff we've been over. You know we've been over it. I know you've been over it. Everyone in the room knows you've been over it. So what you're doing right now is thrashing because you're bored. It's the equivalent of trying to pick a fight with your sibling or something. You're just being as annoying as possible, hoping somebody will entertain you by punching back. And it's silly. It's a waste of time, and you're too old for it. And I'm too old for it. I think that we should probably just move on. Unless you have something really substantial, something really important, something really interesting you want to say, I think at least you should stop pretending to be so excited about space.
Sure. Mr. Scott, when you decide to dance with the devil, you do not decide when the music stops, okay? So you made this choice. You decided to go along with the whole narrative of the space, my father's an astronaut narrative. So you're going to have to go through all of this until the day you die. Until the very end, this question will be asked of you to prove your claims, your wild, outrageous claims of space, vacuums next to gas pressure, and a 24-hour feed of the Earth. So that would never. You should change the way that
how much you want to bet that you're wrong about that? Because I'll tell you something that's true. The only people that ever ask me questions either way about this, the only time I've ever talked about my dad and his job has been with flat earthers in flat earth context. It just isn't that big a deal. It's not very interesting to most people. And certainly it's not the kind of thing most people are inclined to challenge.
Sure. The reason why it feels that way, Mr. Scott, for you is
Unless
because
you're a
you
human
don't go
turd,
anywhere
like
to
fucking
speak to
you.
other flat earthers, Mr. Scott. You are afraid to go out there and prove your claims because you know if you were to leave here where you are right now, you would be under immense pressure to back up your claims. So I'm here, you're here. I'm the only person here asking the questions because you're not going anywhere else for you to be asked, Mr. Scott.
Yeah, but I've been everywhere before, Chemo. I've been to all places.
Not long enough for them to ask you about your father.
And hold on, Chemo. You're doing the thing where you're starting to trigger constantly, and I do. As soon as I get into this, I start asking that question. I've had that question asked to me on Nathan's show. I've had that question asked to me on Riley's show. I've had it asked to me on 24/7. It happens all the time. So I'm not sure why you're saying that, but it's not.
Yeah, but you never hang around long enough to produce a demonstration, right?
That's not true. That's not true. Sometimes they're there for hours. Now, demonstrations aren't always appropriate. No one's really. You're the only one that really harps on this idea of demonstration.
Oh, so you're saying on 24/7 you demonstrated?
Certainly your statement about how I never go out and do this, or I'm always in here. It's just not true.
Excellent.
It's fundamentally false. This is the kind of lie that you just start generating, hoping to get catches, and it's silly.
So you're saying that on Nathan?
Think about what you think is true. Think about what your real position is, and make a claim.
Revelations. I mean, I don't know how I missed this one, but you've been on Nathan's and demonstrated that your father's an astronaut and all the relevant things to prove this. You've been on.
You said I've never been on any other place.
You've been on 24/7. You demonstrated space, Mr. Scott. You demonstrated the astronaut.
Chemo.
I wasn't even finished, Mr. Scott, was I? I wasn't even finished, though, was I? You interrupted me. Remember?
You asked me a question. I thought.
No, I said, I said, oh, okay, oh. So I'm making a statement that you say that you've been on all of these places and you've demonstrated that your father was an astronaut, you've provided all the information that they've asked for, and you're saying that you've done it on Nathan's, you've done it on 24/7. Yeah?
No, what I'm saying is that you had said
that's clear
you never go to any of these. Hey, Kimo, can I please stop? You had said you never go on any of these other shows long enough to be asked this question. And I pointed out that's not true. I've been on all these shows, certainly for long enough. I've been on them for hours. And we've asked these questions and we've talked about them. So that's what I was.
You've talked about them. What does that mean? You've talked about them? Like chit-chat?
What do you think it means? What do you think?
Do you mean like chit-chat when you say talked about it? Or did you debate?
I mean like what we're doing right now. What we're doing right now.
Just chit-chat. So what we're doing right now is not demonstrating your claim. Yeah,
is this chit-chat?
This is like chit-chat because you're not demonstrating your claim, are you? You're just saying, well, my father did this, I did that.
You're not demonstrating your claim, either.
What claim?
You're not demonstrating your claim.
What's the claim, Mr. Scott?
You said there's a dome. You said the earth is flat. You said you work as a railroad tie installer. You said that you speak Russian. You made all kinds of claims.
Okay, so are these outrageous? Are they wild?
What his dad did is documented.
Are these outrageous and wild claims, Mr. Scott?
Yes, they are. Most of them.
What is outrageous about them?
Everything. The idea that a dome exists around us is fairly absurd, unnecessary, not seeable.
How is that outrageous if you can't have gas pressure without Mr. Scott, if you can't have gas pressure without a container?
Hey, wait, Chemo, why are you keep over talking?
How is it outrageous if we can't have gas pressure without a container?
Wow.
You can have gas pressure without a container.
Okay, can you demonstrate that for me? Okay, demonstrate that for us.
Gas will conform. I'm telling you right now. Gas will conform to the forces present.
No, I didn't ask you to talk about it like 24/7. No, I don't want you to talk about it.
Chemo, you can't interrupt when I'm talking, dude. You got to stop doing that.
So you're just talking about it, not demonstrating it.
Can you have a conversation that's without?
Well, I want to know before I get into the conversation. Are you just going to talk about it?
If you can't do it in an adult way, we don't have to do it, Chemo.
That's what I'm asking. We don't have to do it. No, we don't have to do it. I'm asking you, are you going to demonstrate it or talk about it?
I'm asking you if you're going to be able to take your turn.
No, I'm asking, are you going to talk about it? I haven't asked my question yet, have I?
No. I'm asking you if you can take your turn and so that we don't overtalk each other.
But I haven't finished.
I'm asking, can you do it, though?
Yeah, of course we can take our turns, but can you demonstrate or are you going to talk about it?
Let's do it.
Okay, so are you going to talk about it or are you going to demonstrate it?
We're going to talk about it. I don't know what you mean by demonstrate it. I'm not sure what it is a reference to.
Well, I would like to show me gas pressure where the pressure is and there's no container. That's what I'd like to show. Demonstrate that. Demonstrate how that happens. You see that every day. That's the atmosphere. I don't see pressure. I don't feel pressure, Mr. Scott.
I'm not sure why or what you mean by that.
Well, how do I know the gas is pressurized?
But it's still there.
I know you said
it's dude. You really can't do this. You really can't do this without interrupting.
Yeah, because you're talking about it, and then you're saying I can demonstrate it.
I'm Chemo. Let me tell you something, buddy.
Go on.
If you ask me a question, and I start to answer, then that's what's going to happen. I'm going to talk about it. And if you start immediately interrupting me and start over talking me like you're doing right now, it's going to just cause noise. It's silly. Why in the world do you think you're accomplishing something when you?
Well, we're accomplishing or establishing what you're about to do next.
Well, what are you going to do next? What is it that you want to do next?
I would like you.
Here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to continue to have you over to talk me, which is what you're doing right now. Yet again, you're really out of control today.
Well, you did ask him a question.
You ask a question, then you just carry on talking.
Well, you'll know when I'm done is when I stop talking. That's very reasonable.
When you ask another question.
When I clarify the question I asked, often I'll ask a question and then give you the details you'll need to know in order to answer it. You'll know when I'm done talking about the fact that I stopped.
So let's go back. You said what I said was outrageous, that gas pressure, there's a dome. You said it's outrageous as a dome. And I'm saying, well, how? If gas pressure needs a container. Then you said you can demonstrate gas pressure without a container. So how
I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't say that. I said.
So then how is it outrageous then?
What's outrageous is to say that there's a dome.
Why? You can't have gas pressure without a container.
Show me a demonstration of this dome. Show me the evidence of this dome.
Show me gas pressure without a container.
Show me evidence of the dome.
You said, you're the one that said you can have gas pressure without a container.
Duck season.
No, you're the one that said there's a dome.
Duck season.
There's a dome that's above us. So show me this dome. Show me the dome.
You can't see it. It's translucent.
The bird.
Oh, that's convenient. It gets even more outrageous.
Why?
If you think there's gas,
Jeremy.
What is outrageous about that? You've never seen a plastic container before.
An invisible dome around us that we can't see.
So you've never seen a plastic container before? A see-through glass container?
Yeah, you can see a plastic container.
From how far?
Never seen an invisible container.
So if I put a plastic container,
what's this dome? What's the dome made of? What's the dome made of?
We don't know.
Who made the dome?
We don't know.
How do you know it's there?
Because you can't have gas pressure without a container.
But so you haven't ever seen it. You never demonstrated it.
Never seen it. Never demonstrated it. No.
So. So you're just guessing that it's translucent then.
No, we're going with what we know as physics. You cannot have gas pressure without the container.
So you're speculating. You're guessing that it's there. You're speculating.
Well, am I? Demonstrate that I'm not. That I am then.
Well, we asked you for a demonstration of it. You said it's invisible. We asked you if you've ever seen it or seen any evidence of it. You say no.
Yeah.
What else could you be doing?
Explaining that you can't have gas pressure without the container, Mr. Scott.
Can I just point an obvious contradiction out?
Please.
Go ahead.
It's not evidence.
So, flat earthers love to claim that there has to be a dome for there to be gas pressure. They obviously can't prove the existence of the dome, but they also accept that there isn't gas pressure, there's a pressure gradient. Now, what makes any flat earther believe that pressure gradient stops being a gradient when you get past a certain altitude? And what makes any flat earther believe that past that point, that can eventually equalize out to the zero pressure, or effectively close to, that we see in space?
Let me take that one. So, I hear the globe people talking about how in a container there can be a gradient. So if we know that that's the case, right, it's irrelevant that there's a gradient up there. I mean, maybe there's not a rigid, hard container. That might be more of the radical side of it, but there's other, containment possibilities that could be.
I would say that this is not outrageous. Why is it outrageous? Mrs. Scott says it's outrageous. It's not a wild claim to say you can.
Some aspects of it are. I give you half and half. Like, I don't think Veach should say it's all the aspects of it are totally outrageous, but the rigid ones, in my opinion, are.
Which aspects of it aren't outrageous?
The fact that it's a necessary containment system, the same as gravity. The fact that some people argue NASA has hit a limit of how high they can go. So it's not that.
So that was my point. That's my point. It's a claim that you say the container's necessary, but you can't show that the pressure is not effectively zero when you're high enough up.
So what?
So you're making an assertion that there has to be a container without actually showing that there does actually have to be a container.
We assert there has to be a container. Now, a dome, to me personally, is just one of those options. To a fair scientist of logic, that would just be one option. Now, I can agree that what Scott's saying, if you want to say it's rigid and stuff, that looks like we don't see that. Huh? What?
Ridiculous.
Why is
this
having
is the first time man has ever thought about these things? It's just the most ridiculous position to take.
Okay. All right. Thanks for your opinion. Yeah, it's a question, but then you wanted to just say, hey, okay.
Well, I asked the question. M. Stone was simply responding to your response to the question. But the point that I was kind of getting at is we all agree unanimously that from sea level up to the top of Everest, there is a massive pressure gradient. There is a massive difference in those pressures. And there's no reason for anyone to believe that if you keep going up from the top of Mount Everest, the pressure gets less and less and less. But for some reason, there's this assertion from globe deniers that there has to be a container to contain the massive amount of pressure that's up there. Well, show us the massive amount of pressure that's up there.
Hey, man, I'm sorry. Look, I got to stop you. It's not from globe deniers saying there has to be a container. Even the globe says there has to be containment. So don't straw man the flat earth side. Don't straw man the flat earth side saying they keep saying container. Okay.
Well, the argument there is that there has to be a container because gravity is fake.
Great, drop that argument. You're dealing with idiots if you want to keep dealing with that argument. So whatever, dude.
No,
but I keep saying it to you over and over and over again. Like there has to be containment. Container is a possibility. Okay. Sure, we don't have evidence of it. We haven't seen it. It's all speculation. All that shit. Okay. But I want to defend. I don't think it's ridiculous. You know, I think it's a little loose, but I don't think it's ridiculous.
Okay, that's your opinion.
So hang on. The assertion is that you can't have gas pressure without containment now, not a container.
But that's science's assertion, isn't it?
Well, that's just wordplay.
It's word. Okay, look, I'm respecting science, right? That's all I'm saying. Doesn't science say?
All right, tell me the difference between what science means when they say containment versus a container.
You know the difference.
No, I don't. That's why I'm asking.
Well, the container is the rigid thing holding you in from the outside, and then containment is whatever system is causing it to whatever.
So there's not a physical container, but
I don't know, bro. You don't need
there is. Hang on. So you're saying that there doesn't necessarily have to be a physical container, but there has to be something that is performing the task of containment.
Oh no, I'm sorry. See, I'm not saying that. You're saying that too.
What?
Everybody says that.
Okay, every flat earther I have ever debated on this subject says that gravity is bullshit and you can't have gas pressure without a container.
Oh, now you're debating flat earthers. Okay, my bad.
You're going back on that.
I'm sorry. My bad. You're debating people that make assumptions of which they do not know. I didn't know that was the problem.
Yeah, the problem is if you're going to have a conversation with this guy, you can't hold your past conversations against him with other people. Just have a conversation.
I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, Chemo comes out as obviously claiming, the globe isn't real and that he's got more respect in the flat Earth model, so to speak.
Let's be clear.
I wasn't
claiming a dome. I was just simply saying when this happened, I said I could say this to Mr. Scott. He just jumped all over that. Oh, you said there's a dome, but it's not outrageous to say that there is. It's not outrageous to say there is a dome if you can't have gas pressure without the container. That's why. Would you
assert that there is a dome, or would you say it's possible?
I don't know.
Maybe your understanding of gas pressure is wanting.
No, pressure would be a pressing. There's no press. With the gases.
Like I said, maybe your understanding of it is a little wanting.
What, and you think you understand it?
If I understand it better than you do,
Chemo, would you agree that there's two different types of gas pressure?
You've got atmospheric pressure.
No, What I mean by that is you have the type of gas pressure in which you push against the container, but then you would have another type of gas pressure because gas has weight of similar to hydrostatic pressure with water.
Yep.
So it'd be a column of gas at rest would have a particular
Gases
weight to
have
it or
weight.
pressure.
Yep.
And forget about that potential gradient. There's nothing behind that could be doing anything.
Well, that would answer the gradient too.
Yeah, that would actually. That's the reason for the gradient. What he just said.
Can you show me how you're weighing the gases?
Maybe something that's
Scott?
behind it, but not just it and it's.
What?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, I just hear everyone say it's all weak and shit. Like it's a gradient of potential electricity, but it's weak. So maybe there's more.
Hold on, you're saying that gases have weight, God Scalpel?
Yeah, of course they have weight. We've gone through this before, Chemo.
Gases, how do gases have weight?
How do they have weight? Shit. How do you have weight? The same way you have weight.
No, gas. How does gas have weight?
Chemo. I'm not gonna talk to you the same way other people might. I'm gonna say that I don't care how they have weight. You can show they have weight. You can measure gas. So how it has weight, I could care less. Really?
You can put it in it. You have to put it into a container, and then you.
So who cares? You gotta fucking put a water in a glass to measure how much a glass of water weighs, too. Big deal. What's your point?
Because the gases don't have weight. Can't weigh the gases.
Yeah, they do have weight.
If you put the gas into a container, it liquefies, right?
No, it doesn't necessarily.
All right, so then show me that you can put gas into a container and weigh it.
Come on.
Seriously, I've showed you videos. Wow. The Action Lab does it with his small vacuum chamber, and the gas is not liquefied. You can see through the vacuum chamber. It's clear. I've showed you that video before, Chemo. You can't deny it. He weighs the fucking vacuum chamber, then he evacuates the air, and the fucking scale goes into the negatives. Then he lets the air back in, it goes into zero. I mean, he could have did it the other way, where he zeroed it out while it was vacuum, but he didn't for whatever reason. But it doesn't matter. It still shows it has fucking weight.
No,
I have a thought experiment for Chemo.
I don't think he was weighing the gas. He would have been weighing or measuring the temperature of what's going on.
No, a scale doesn't weigh fucking temperatures. Come on, dude. Serious.
Well, how would the gases press on it? How would that happen?
What do you mean? Because the gas has weight. Once the chamber fills up with the gas, the weight on the scale changes. So obviously, the gas has fucking weight. Seriously, Chemo, you're really.
So that means then you'd be able to take
gas has molecules.
That means.
How do you think it has pressure? How can it have pressure if it doesn't have weight? Pressure, supposedly and correctly, comes from the molecules of the gas striking things.
No, that's
that
not
kinetic energy. That's kinetic strike.
Breaker.
No, that's not what
happens. That kinetic strike. Oh, okay. Well, what's the pressure come from?
Honestly, Scott, who cares? It has fucking weight. I don't like.
It does.
No, you can't demonstrate it has weight.
You can talk about why later.
You're right, God's
it has weight.
I yelled. You're right. I yelled.
Like, I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm just saying.
No, you're right. It doesn't show. It's missing the point. It's missing the point.
They were showing the weight and not the temperature. Because I can't
Who fucking cares about the temperature, Chemo? If you go for a run and because you went for a run, you're running a little hot on the collar and you get on the scale, you're gonna fucking weigh any different? Come on, dude. Seriously.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? If you're running and you lose water, you're gonna weigh a slightly less.
You went from temperature to losing water. To explain.
Yes, because that's what they're measuring, aren't they? That's what they're reading, the water pressure, not the gas pressure.
Chemo. It has nothing to do with temperature. Scales, like weight scales, don't measure temperature, they measure weight.
Well, like I say, if you believe that, then you believe in gravity. And there's no force pushing that weight down on any scale. You see?
Wow, man.
Listen, we don't need to go there yet. You just need to concede whether... Then we can talk about why it does.
Dude.
So how much does the atmosphere weigh then?
Yeah, that's bullshit.
The atmosphere, well, would you not say it's 14.7 psi at sea level or whatever it is?
How did you get that number?
Weighed it. I'd say it's hydrostatic pressure.
Yeah, but how did you weigh the 14.7?
The barometer.
So you took a barometer, That was already in.
You could call it. Listen, you could call it unicorns if you want. Really, to be honest, it's just registering a relationship. I've talked to you about this when it comes to scuba diving. You could call standing on a boat 0, and when you go down to 33 feet of seawater, you could call it 1, 66, 2. You could call it 1 unicorn at 33 feet, 2 unicorns at 66 feet. It doesn't matter. It's all really relationships.
Look, I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but you're going down the same path as Mr. Scott. You know, it sounds good, looks good. Can you show me a barometer measuring 14.7 from a 0?
Like I said, I don't care. I don't really care.
Yeah, but then why you're defending it? This is the problem. If you're going to say the atmosphere has weight and gases have weight, then you obviously have to be able to defend that.
The atmosphere.
If you're going to ask a question, let me fucking answer it. Because it's practically true. I've scuba dived. I've been an assistant instructor. I know for a fact that the same scuba diver breathing at the same rate, if he's above 33 feet of water, he might be able to scuba dive for an hour. The minute that motherfucker goes down to 99 feet of water, the max he's going to get with an experienced diver with the same amount of air is about 8 minutes, 9 minutes. Maybe, if he's really good, 10 or 12 minutes.
I have an experiment that Chemo could try for himself. He could just take a piece of dry ice, stick it in a container, put that on the scale, and as that dry ice turns into air, see if the scale weight changes or not.
Good, that's a good point.
So you have to show,
container or
so before you can even go on and say that air and gases have weight,
put dry ice in a sealed container.
Well, it doesn't matter then. It ends that point we were trying to make because you can't demonstrate that gases have weight. So if we carry on, you're just talking from.
That's all you have to do is that experiment, Chemo. The experiment is sound. Go do it.
Okay, fine. Okay. So that's fine. So it hasn't been done then. Up until this point, we haven't measured or tested the atmosphere with weight until I do it. Until I go out there.
If the scale changes whenever the dry ice turns into gas. That's it.
Okay, it's never been done before until I do it. So we cannot know that gas.
It's been done before.
Well,
Are you silly?
Let's see it then. Show it right now. Post it in the chat.
Wait a second.
No, I'm not gonna show you that.
Right,
just like I'm not
that's
gonna
my point. Until that point is a moot point until we can demonstrate.
I don't need to demonstrate that this guy is blue, Chemo, because anybody can go outside and look at it.
Chemo, wait a second. I want to ask Chemo a question. Chemo, do you agree that my scuba diving example is true? Like, do you understand that for every 33 feet of seawater, you have half as much available air as you would on the surface? And it's every 33 feet you have is half as much as the 33 feet before you if you're in salt water?
Yeah, sure. You go into water.
Okay, so you agree that that's true then?
Yeah, you're dealing with water pressure, right?
So then there is a relationship between standing on surface and 33 feet of water. 33 feet of water does equal the same amount of pressure, regardless if it's 20 fucking leprechauns or 10 unicorns, whatever you want to call it. There is that relationship. Can you concede that?
That what? The atmosphere has pressure?
That there's a relationship.
No. Does the atmosphere have pressure? That's what we're deciding. That's what we're finding out.
Well, what happens when you go down in 33 feet of seawater?
Go into water, you're going to experience water.
The subject back to the seawater thing. I understand why
you go into water, you'll have water pressure. Know this.
Right, but there's the relationship that it equals the amount of pressure that's on the surface.
No, it doesn't have anything to do with outside of the water. The pressure comes from within the water.
But for every 33 feet, you get the equal amount of pressure as you do on surface.
No, if you go out of the water, there is zero pressure on your gauge.
Okay, so we have zero pressure.
Yeah.
So if we have zero pressure, why is it that if you have a vacuum chamber and you open it up, the atmosphere rushes in?
Because the temperature change.
Wouldn't the vacuum chamber have zero actually be the thing that has zero pressure when it's
can't have zero pressure in the vacuum chamber. You lower the temperature.
So you think a vacuum chamber just lowers temperature, doesn't suck anything out of it? So
it removes a lot of the water. Yeah, a lot of the water.
So you're saying the vacuum that sucks out the air is
not the air. The vacuum sucks out the water in the chamber. Yeah, so there's less water. Colder.
Weren't you just last week, Chemo, saying that there's no way that the ISS could be in space because it's too hot up there, but it's in a vacuum?
No, that wasn't me. You were having that conversation.
Oh, it was. Oh, it was.
Where's your citation? Did you record it? Where's your citation?
Oh, I'm really disappointed in myself now for having not recorded
me
that.
with Anthony. You've been speaking with Anthony last week.
I have been speaking to Anthony a lot,
yeah,
I'll admit.
not with me.
But,
I haven't spoken to you in a while. So the idea is that if you've got a container,
dry ice filled container.
Yeah, the dry ice, that's a good experiment, Sally.
What happens when we breathe in chemo?
Never mind. Just letting off the hook completely by talking about seawater. Okay, good job.
Is that what you think I'm doing, Soundly? Letting them off the hook?
Yeah, I gave him a really hard question to answer that is completely intuitive to everyone, and you're just completely avoiding it.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't realize on the hook. What's that hook question?
Yeah, Sally, will you finish that line? Because it is a good experiment.
You have a sealed container with dry ice inside of it. That's a solid. You're going to weigh that. Now, as the solid turns to gas, if what you're saying is true, the implications are that the container should become lighter. Do that experiment, Chemo.
So you're saying that the dry ice produces a gas. What is gas? Bouncing particles? Can you demonstrate that it's doing that before we move forward?
Why does he have to demonstrate that? He's just giving you an experiment. If it was what you're saying is true, would cause the scale to change in weight. Yeah. What happened? You should check to see if it does.
Yeah, so that's just like me saying, go and paint an elephant, go and have him stand on a pine tree, and then he'll start flapping his wings. It doesn't exist.
Oh, so
is that just like saying that?
Yes. So what is gas? You're saying to me there are bouncing particles.
Me while I'm driving in a car to go do an experiment for you that you can do yourself? I don't think so.
No, you're proclaiming that the particles are doing something. Can you demonstrate that they're doing something?
You really don't want to know the truth, though, Kiro, because this is a great experiment, super easy to do. You could do it trivially for no money, and you'd actually have your evidence. You could come back and you could throw it in all of our faces and be right. But you don't want to see that, do you?
You've got to understand the principles and the fundamentals and the foundation of what he's actually asking us, Mr. Scott. If you don't know
it
what
doesn't actually matter because is it not true that according to you it should get lighter?
It's like you guys trying to tell us the distance to the sun, where it is, when you don't know what it is. What is gas?
Is it not true though?
You don't know.
Is it not true that it should get lighter according to you?
Is that not true? The moon. The moon is being reflected from the sun.
See, you don't want to answer that question, do you?
You want me to go and prove what the moon is based on your understanding. What is gas? Is gas bouncing particles? If you say yes, then obviously you can't go ahead.
He's desperately hoping somebody will pipe that. Yeah.
Well, that's the point.
Chemo, I'm just going to ask one more time. It's a really simple question. I'm just asking, just honestly, I'm just asking, try to answer this. According to what you guys are saying, wouldn't the weight on the scale change? Isn't what Stanley said true?
It depends.
On what?
On what?
If it's a liquid or bouncing particles.
Well, we already know what it is. He said it is a piece of dry ice.
Oh, what is it?
It turns to gas.
Oh, gas.
Piece of dry ice turns to gas. And you say gas has no weight.
What's the definition of gas?
You're the one that tells us gas has no weight, so it turns into that thing that you say has no weight. And now, according to you, the scale should change, correct?
What is gas? Define it.
Well, what is it that you mean by gas when you say gas has no weight?
This is an illustration of the underlying problem with your thought process. Devise an experiment that, if proven true or false, gives us some information about the world, Chemo, to prove your hypothesis true or false. Real simple.
You're saying the atmosphere has weight. First of all, what is the atmosphere? You're saying gas. I'm saying it's water.
Chemo, stop deflecting and trying to chase those.
But if I can demonstrate by taking
it's really simple. He's literally taking your claim. He's taking your claim. He's generated a way to test it for you. It's a beautiful, simple thing to do. It's cheap. It's easy. Anyone can do it. Now, isn't it true? Isn't he right that if gas has no weight, the scale should then change?
No, what he needs to do is show that the gas is what he says it is before he does an experiment.
Well, what is it that you mean by gas then? When you say gas has no weight, what do you mean by that?
Well, we're talking about
gas. Your definition. Hold on, Chemo. I'm using your definition of gas. So whatever your definition of gas is, we'll use that. Okay.
Water.
I'm devising an experiment for you to test your hypothesis.
Okay, what should we do? Okay, let's go now. So we now know it's water. What should we do with the test?
So let me be clear. Your definition of gas is water. Is that right?
Does he mean liquid water?
Yeah, do you mean liquid water?
Well, just whatever the gas is. So if it's liquid water,
Whatever
if it's water,
gets me out of it.
if it's water,
so
it will turn to liquid.
So the ocean
water.
is gas. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's a liquid. We're talking about a liquid, not bouncing particles, right?
Wait. So gas is water. Is that right?
If it's like steam, then yeah, this would be water.
If it's liquid,
What? I'm so confused. What is the definition of gas that you have? Please just define gas.
Are all liquids gas, or is just some liquids gas?
Gas is like a fluid liquid.
Gas is a fluid liquid.
Yeah, that would be my definition.
Right?
What's your definition?
So any liquid or any fluid that we can find is gas.
It depends on the size of the particle.
Well, okay, can you tell us how the definition works? What's the size?
If it's a small particle, we'll define it as gas, like small particles of water. If it's more dense than that, then we'll just describe it as water. And then if it's more dense than that, we'll say it's a solid.
And how do we know what the size of particles are? Like, how do we test this for any given substance? How will we know something's a gas? How do we identify the gas? So anything could be a gas. Everything could be a gas.
As soon as the particles touch, they form a liquid. So if you pressurize gas, if you put a gas into a container, you'll have liquid in the container. Take it.
Okay, so when you have a gas or when you have a container that doesn't have liquid in it, it doesn't have gas in it either.
Liquid in it. What?
I'm saying when you have a container that doesn't have liquid in it, it also doesn't have gas in it because all gas turns into a liquid inside a container.
Yeah.
So what is inside a container then? Like if I make a see-through Tupperware thing, and it has no liquid in it, so therefore also no gas. Is there a vacuum in there?
Oh no, there's liquid in there. Oh, you mean you sucked it out, sucked the water out?
I'm saying you look in there, there's no liquid. I'm looking in there, there's no liquid.
No, there is liquid in there.
No, well, where is it?
It's in really small particles.
Well, so you're saying it all has invisible liquid that I can't see.
Not invisible. Really small.
Well, how do you see it? How do you verify this?
Well, you can either leave the bottle to show condensation after a while. There are a few ways to do that.
And okay, so this liquid is
you can suck.
It's in a liquid form. It's in a liquid form, yeah.
And I just told you, small.
So liquid form.
Small water.
Yeah, small particles in liquid form, though, right?
Little water balls.
Yeah, in liquid form.
Tiny water balls, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But we can't see the liquid.
Because they're too small, the particles.
Okay. Are they floating?
No, they are. It's like a fluid.
So it's like water, but if all the particles are together and they're in there and they're together, why can we not see it?
Because it's constantly moving. It's so clear. It's clear water, right? Tiny particles, but you can see them. If you were to, like I say, put the bottle in a warm room, then you would have condensation. Like to sweat out the bottle.
This isn't making sense to me. I don't know if you thought this through all the way.
Sure, it's well known, well understood. There's an experiment you can do. It's called Schrödinger's or something, where you take the camera and you can see the invisible. So, that's a good way actually. If you wanted to see what was in that bottle, you would need special camera equipment. I'll have to get the video up for you and show you how to see what's in that bottle. Yeah, absolutely. That bottle is not empty as you thought. See, that's how you guys were deceived, or you just didn't understand how it works, right?
So the difference between the liquid inside the Tupperware container and the gas outside the Tupperware container is what?
Sorry?
What's the difference between the liquid inside the Tupperware container and the gas outside the Tupperware container?
Gas and the liquid. What are you talking about? I asked you to define gas.
You said the gas inside of a container turns into a liquid, right? Now this liquid is strange liquid.
No. It turns into a liquid due to the pressure of the container. But outside, there's no walls for it to bounce off. So there's no pressure anywhere. But if you put it in a container...
what's the difference? So what's the difference?
You're saying a large amount of gas in a pressurized container will be in liquid form.
will liquefy.
He's saying any amount of gas. He's saying you want a tiny amount.
Yeah, or is it any amount of gas, or is it like a specific amount?
Any amount of gas. Just got to have the pressure, Mr. Scott. Pressurized gas.
Well, so if I have a Tupperware container, so I can have a Tupperware container that has gas in it and not liquid.
Is it pressurized?
Well, it's sealed.
But is it pressurized?
Well, yes, it's not a vacuum, so anything that's not a vacuum is going to have some pressure.
Yeah.
What about Soundly's example? I've got a solid block of dry ice. When that melts, it becomes water vapor, effectively. It becomes the gaseous form, right?
Water, again. Liquid.
Vapor. It becomes gas.
Describe it how you want it, but it's water, isn't it? Collects together in a huge lump.
Water vapor, so it's gas. Does water vapor have weight?
Water has weight. Yeah, the water. If you remove, so no water, no pressure. That's what I've been telling you for years.
But water vapor has weight.
No water, no pressure.
Yes. Does water vapor have?
Water has pressure, Mr. Yes.
I'm asking if water vapor has weight. The atmosphere is water vapor. So does the atmosphere have weight in your mind?
Yes.
Define vapor.
Yes.
What is it doing?
Kimo, you say yes? You say yes?
I didn't say yes. I asked you to define what the vapor is doing.
No, well, why didn't you just answer the question, Kimo?
Because you won't define vapor. What are those particles doing?
Is it possible for water to be in a gaseous form?
Well, define gas.
I'm asking you. You're the one that tells me gas doesn't have weight.
So do you agree? If you don't agree, you define gas, and then we can talk about your definition.
I'm asking you if it's possible. I'm asking you what you believe.
If what?
Define.
No, define vapor, define gas. If you say
use whatever definition you want. Use the definition
you won't dare say bouncing particles, will you, Mr. Scott? Because if you dare say bouncing particles, I will demand a demonstration of a bouncing particle.
I don't know what you're talking about. You told me that gas has no weight. Now I'm trying to understand what you mean by gas. You won't define it, so I'm trying to get you to explain it.
Yes.
Whenever I ask you to explain it, you ask me to define it, but you're the one that said it. You're the one that said gas has no weight.
Sure. The gas is bouncing particles. Those bouncing particles have zero weight. You can never show bouncing particles to have any weight, Mr. Scott.
Okay. So then why did Soundly's experiment not completely test this?
Well, I don't know. Is it bouncing particles or not?
Bullshit. Hey, are you like respecting the ethos of science, bro? Or are you just trying to?
So is Soundly's experiment with bouncing particles?
What does it sound like?
Or not? Because if Soundly thinks it's bouncing particles, you would have to demonstrate solid spheres.
I don't think that's true. Do you think it's not bouncing particles?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what gas is. We're using your definition of gas or how it behaves. None of that matters.
Of course it matters.
You're saying that atmosphere is gas. That's what you're saying. Okay. Well, carbon dioxide turns into atmosphere. I mean, the dry ice turns into atmosphere. So that's what we're measuring. We're measuring the thing that you're calling gas.
Gas is liquid. Fluid.
Okay, well, at that point, that Chemo had completely lost the plot.
If you can show anything other than what I've said, show it right now.
Well, if you would like to actually test this out, Chemo, you would look into Soundly's experiment. Barring that, I think maybe we've exhausted this topic. It's getting silly.
The guy who tried to speak up and defend someone calling the dome ridiculous, dude, I gotta tell you, you just seem like you're trying to debate and not explore the ethos of science at all.
That dome did a dome.
Dome. Yeah, you're right. We have exhausted this. Lemon, you want to take over?
There's a dome giving us air pressure there.
I'm trying to illustrate how you can remove 5 hours of all this nonsense by just asking a simple question that defeats their idea. I mean, and then watch them jump like a little puppet.
He doesn't think gas is a real thing. That how we think of it. So he wants to see these bouncing particles all over the place.
Well, you got to have a barrier for gas pressure, so that's probably the firmament.
And Mr. Scott said, Lemon, this is outrageous.
See, I don't agree with that either, man.
What gas pressure?
What was that?
What gas pressure, Lemon?
More pressure down here than up at the tallest mountains.
Pressure of what?
The pressure of the oxygen being pushed into your lungs.
Gas pressure, you say?
The pressure of the oxygen gas.
Lemon, you know, you just said the atmosphere is pushed into your lungs. You know when somebody goes into the water and they almost drown and they're dragged out of the water? Why does the person have to breathe into their lungs if the atmosphere is already pushing in their mouth?
They need some pressure to displace the water that's in their lungs, more than likely, since their lungs are filled with water.
But they've got this pressure. If they open their mouth, they're going to have this pressure pushing on them, right?
It's got to overcome the pressure of the water fluid that's already inside of their lungs, right?
How much water do you think is in their body compared to the atmosphere? You think there's more water pressure in their body than compared to the atmosphere?
The atmosphere is
talking about the water locked in their tissues. They say 2/3 of the body is water.
No. I'm saying when you drown,
is already in their lungs. The reason they have to breathe is because there's an equal amount of pressure on both sides.
You've got to blow into their mouths like a few times, like, and then press on the chest. But if the atmosphere is already pressing on them, why wouldn't the atmosphere just do it, kickstart them?
Dude, stop, leave him alone, dude. If you can't see what he said, I actually thought that was really cool how he said that. Okay? Now, it does have pressure down here, so somewhat, it is giving you some pressure. Okay? Why you got to tear
The pressure is there, but the pressure needs to be channeled in a way where it will displace the water. Like if you have a bottle full of liquid, if the pressure goes perfectly against the water, but not in a way that it'll displace the water and help it flow out, you're just going to have two mediums pressing against each other with no movement. So it needs to be expressed in the lungs in a way where it will displace the water and push the water out.
Right, look, when you've got the person, you're blowing into the body, yeah? You're not sucking. Or are you sucking or blowing? So
you're blowing into their body.
Yeah, so you're blowing the water into their body even further because they're going to push it back out. Why in the atmosphere?
But it needs to be blown in a way where it will displace the water and it will ultimately be pushed out.
So the atmosphere, you just said the atmosphere is being forced into your mouth.
It's like taking a Coke can. If you flip a Coke can upside down, the water will stay inside of the Coke can, although it was coming out before because the pressure and the way it's being expressed is being equalized with the surface tension and everything. It's not going to come out of the can. Unless you take it away from the surface it's against, and then all of a sudden that water is going to flow out of the can. So pressure is part of it, but it needs to be expressed in a way where it's going to push the liquid out and displace it.
Yeah, he didn't say force. You're thinking Lemon said force.
I mean, why, Lemon, do you have to be pressing on the chest then? Why do you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4 if the atmosphere is already pressing down on the body?
Because people will die.
Equal and opposite reaction, Chemo. What was your question?